Till about the 5th century BCE, the religious practices and rituals of Bengal were those of pre-Aryan ethnic groups. Indeed, many of those practices, such as the veneration of trees and stones, the worship of new paddy after the harvest season, the use of ethnic totems as vehicles of deities, etc., continue till now as part of later Buddhist and Brahminical rituals. The first acquaintance the ethnic Bengali had of Aryan religion was with Jainism and the Ajivika cult. The Jaina Puranas mention that the 4 place names Manbhum, Simbhum, Birbhum and Vardhaman are connected with the Jain monk Mahavira or Vardhaman. Buddhism too had spread to the region prior to the rule of Ashoka. Chinese traveller Yuan Sang mentions that Lord Buddha came to spread his message at Pundravardhana, Karnasuvarna and Samatata. Numerous Tibetan and Sanskrit texts, as well as accounts of Chinese travellers, speak of the major centres of Buddhist faith and learning throughout Bengal, with numerous monasteries in major settlements. The most noted of these monasteries are Chandraketugarh, Mahasthangarh, Raktamritika, Mainamati, Paharpur, Sompur and Mogolmari. Although Buddhism was indeed the dominant religion of Bengal right till the 11th century, the Buddhism of Bengal in the 400 years from the 8th to 12th centuries bore scant relationship with the classical school of Mahayana Buddhism. According to Buddhist tradition, Acharya Sangha, in order to attract the vast numbers of tribal people from hill and forest, allowed to place within the fold prevalent tribal practices involving demons, goblins, spirits, and various tribal goddesses, which subsequently got embedded in the new streams of Buddhist faith. In the 8th and 9th centuries, Mahayana Buddhism had come into contact with new tantric concepts, as a result of which occult practices, customs, worships, and ceremonies seeped in and caused the faith to branch out to diverse streams, including Vajrayana and Sahajayana. This in turn influenced the spread of the religion in neighbouring Nepal, Bhutan, Kashmir and Tibet in a major way. Brahminism entered Bengal around the 2nd century AD. Cave inscriptions and other evidence indicate that images of Brahminical deities like Vishnu, Shiva, Ganesha and Surya had started becoming prevalent in growing numbers between the 1st and the 6th centuries. A number of inscriptions from the Pala and Chandra era indicate that during the Gupta rule in the 5th and 6th centuries, Brahmins from various parts of North and Central India, versed in Vedic sacraments, were given land grants and settled in many parts of Bengal. Under their aegis, the stream of the Vedic religion started flowing in the region. Subsequently, the Brahmanic order found a great patron in Shashanko in the 6th century. Shashanko was a Shaiva by faith. According to the account of the Chinese scholar Yuan Sang, who visited Bengal in the 6th century, Shashanko was a ruthless adversary of Buddhism, intent on its eradication. According to his accounts, Shashanko sponsored many anti-Buddhist purges, set the Bodhi tree at Gaya on fire, seized Buddhist icons from the temple, and set up images of Shiva and persecuted the monks at Kushinara. Be that as it may, there is no evidence of discord during this period among the general practitioners of these two rival faiths of the time. The Pala emperors who ruled between the 7th and the 11th century were devout Buddhists, and under their rule, Buddhism flourished in Bengal once more. However, successive Pala rulers patronized Brahminism as well, and during this period, Vaishnava, Shaiva, Ganapatya and Shakta faiths emerged and flourished in Bengal, as reflected by the exquisite artifacts of that era. In the Sena period from the 11th to 12th century, the wheels of religion and society turned again. The all-pervading religion of Bengal was Brahmanism once more, governed by the Vedas and Puranas and significantly influenced by the Tantras. The early Sena monarchs were devout Shaivas, though some of the later ones were Vaishnavas as well. Jayadeva's Gita Govinda was composed during this period, firmly establishing the lore of Radha and Krishna in the Bengali mind and preparing the ground for the emergence of Sri Chaitanya. The Sena rule in general witnessed widespread social hostilities towards the followers of the Buddhist faith and saw a rapid waning of the influence of Buddhism over the region. In 1203, Bakhtiyar Khalji, riding in from Delhi at the head of a contingent of 18 horsemen, attacked Nabuddin and ended the Sena rule by defeating the last Sena king, Lakshman Sen. There are numerous theories about how Islam spread in Bengal. However, the overwhelming evidence is strongly suggestive of a gradual transition of the local population from indigenous religions starting in the 13th century. A large body of disaffected Buddhists and low-caste Hindus driven to the fringes of society during the Sena rule, marked by rigid Brahminical caste norms, found the vision of the Sufi missionaries to be liberating. State patronage by the new regime of Bakhtiyar Khilji in the early 1200s, followed by the establishment of the Bengal Sultanate by Ilyas Khan in 1352, provided a further impetus to the process. A few centuries later, the agrarian reforms of the Mughal Empire accelerated conversion and population growth across the Bengal Delta. A large number of Sufi missionaries were settled in eastern Bengal under the active encouragement of the Mughal administration. The Mughals granted landless peasants land around these missions in order to accelerate the development of the fertile Ganges plain. This coincided with the acceleration of the eastward movement of the Padma and the emergence of new delta land.
16th century, the entire drainage of the Ganga was occurring through the Bhagirathi Hooghly River flowing from the Rajmahal Hills to southwards up to Shagor Island at the confluence of the river and the Bay of Bengal. Between the 16th and the 18th century, it is believed that the Bhagirathi was slowly moving eastward towards the bed of a smaller stream called the Podda. During the eastward shift, the Podda was expanding as the main flow of the Ganges by capturing much of the Bhagirathi's water.
All of this led to greater concentrations of people in the areas with more opportunities for Sufi missionaries to preach Islam.
Now, those Muslim pioneers did not practice aggressive conversion. Rather, they adhered to spiritual mysticism and spread universal love. They were venerated as Sufis and Pirs. Obviously, along with the expanding agricultural frontier, wide-scale Islamization of the area was happening. But however, we are given to believe that it was not happening through the might of the sword. Also, the land grants provided by the Mughals to those explorers to build masjids and dargahs aided in the process of Islamization and the entrenchment of political power, the new Mughal power at the grassroots levels. The eastward shift of the river made the Mughal penetration into the interior and the eastern periphery of Bengal comparatively easier.
A much smaller elite group of Muslims traced their bloodline directly to Arabic, Turkish and Afghan aristocrats who settled in the region following land grants made by Sultan Hussein Shah and subsequent Muslim rulers to foreigners. Scholars like Abu A. Ghuznavi allude to the dispersion of Afghans in every hamlet after the Mughal conquest.
Scholars have argued that the expansion of the agrarian frontier in the east and the associated Islamization posed a challenge for Hinduism. The variant of Islam of the Bhati was liberal and attracted the marginalized groups of hunter-gatherers, pastoralists, fishermen to its fold. To combat this, the Hinduism too became more tolerant and flexible, and it offered social mobility to people at the lower rungs of society by introducing them to plough agriculture. Thus they became upwardly mobile by turning into farmers, or in colloquial terms we call them chasha. The Vaishnava cult, based on the ethos of flexible and egalitarian society under Chaitanya Dev's leadership, also played a very proactive role in the Western Delta.
Bengal was to witness a massive revival of Vaishnavism with the propagation and steady progress of the Achintya Bheda Abheda movement of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Born in Navadvip in 1486, his movement was based on a vision of Vedanta and a relentless message of anti-untouchability, social justice, mass education, and the attainment of Krishna through pure bhakti, love of all fellow beings. It was marked by the complete absence of Brahminical rituals and social structures. He revived the human spirit of the Vedantic religion and made it accessible to the masses. His legacy had a profound impact on Bengal, and 2 centuries later led to the reformation of the Shakta tradition, with the gifted poet and saint Ram Prasad Sen, born in 1723, crying down all rituals and seeking to attain the Vedantic Brahman in his vision of Mother Goddess Kali purely through the path of bhakti, love of all fellow beings. In less than 2 millennia, the wilderness of the Delta was transformed by the influence of the greatest faiths of civilization. The extended cohabitation of these faiths, as well as the syncretic influence of the Sufi and Bhakti saints like Shah Sultan Rumi, Baba Adam Shah Shahid, Hazrat Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Swami, and Ram Prasad Sen led to the development of a unique Bengali ethos expressed best by the 18th century mystic saint Fakir Lalan Shah.
চলে আবার 6 জুনাতে গুনতা নিচে দেখো হাল